Hello everybody, welcome to the FTOG server Quantus pack. ToddytheBody here. Now first thing I'd like to say, contrary to previous belief, the glowing tool will put down glow balls in the offhand as long as you're holding another tinker's tool in the other hand. Because I was doing it like this, walking around, and it wasn't working. But when I had this guy up, it was. So, just so you know, you can do it in the offhand there, and then have the pick in the real hand or your right hand, and it actually works a little bit faster than it was in the offhand. Anyway, so today is gonna be fun. It's not gonna be another building episode. It's gonna be a technical episode. I know you've all been waiting for it. I've been waiting for it, and we're doing, because we're still on the early eras of this pack. It's gonna be all vanilla. Except for this guy here. It's going to be all vanilla redstone. Get set. And we're going to have some fun. Okay, so now just to demonstrate it here, we've got some selections here where we can go to. We've added them instead of just one straight shot to the snow base. We're calling it snow base for now because I don't want to say the real base name just yet. And we're stuck. Alright, we're not stuck. But let's demonstrate it. Okay, so we've got a line to Grok's place. He hasn't made it go all the way there yet. All you do is you push the button wherever you want to go, and the line gets set to wherever you pushed. So we're gonna go to Grok's. We can hit this button here to get a little dispenser to come, or minecart to come out of the dispenser, and then we just push forward and off we go. And we'll show it off here. See, this is it off to Grok's space, but he hasn't dug it out yet. And then when Grok is coming back, he will always go back to Howler's Landing, and then he can sit here and he can decide where else he wants to go, which is probably the main hub if he's coming down this way. Now, one thing that I want to get some input from him, because he will not want to be getting out of his cart. He'll want to like keep on moving and everything, and this cart dispenser setup takes you out of your cart, and then you have to like do the thing over again and all that. He might not like that. So I might go back to the method of where the cart will just pull up. There's not a dispenser. Maybe I'll have a chest of carts or something like that. But I want to make it easier. I don't want to make it so you have to come back out and add steps and do extra buttons and things like that. But we need to stop talking because we're going to run out of time. So let's come down here. Let's take a look at what's going on here. Before, like when you hit the button, here I'll just show you. See how it's curved this way? That's because these two detector rails, when you pass over them, it makes them curve back this way, so that by default, if you're coming in this direction that way, you won't have to worry about like going back towards Grok's base or anything like that. It is always heading up towards the landing. Alright, so let's go up here, hit the button just so you can see that it switches. Button. And then come back down, and you can see it is now that direction, so that you can head off straight that way. And if you're wondering, well, what about if you're heading this way? You're going to go to Grok's base. Nope, because if you hit that detector, like I was saying before, it will switch it back just in time, so it doesn't do it. Okay. So then how that works is that detector rail up that side will do this redstone. It'll come down here, power all this redstone, and then come over and and then do the RS latch here. But I wanted to get into that in a little bit to better explain it instead of just showing it to you. But let's go ahead and go back, and then just kind of to prove the concept, we're gonna do the main hub, which we're gonna do the main hub, and then we'll go back again. We'll let Nonsanity go watch Nonsanity's video on how the main hub works. Alright, so we've got it selected. I wasn't fast enough. Okay. I've got it selected, the main hub. And then we'll head on down. Now, the track further down, like we know that that's the default setting, but the track further down will always default to the main hub. We were talking about it before, me and Grok, when we were playing this thing out, that it would default towards my base over there. But instead, I think it would be better for everybody if it defaulted towards the main hub. So that's what it's going to do. If you don't push any of the buttons, well, if you push Grok's base or my base, it'll go there. But then after that, after traveling the rail, it will always head here. So you probably don't even have to hit the main hub button if you're certain that everybody or is that somebody had taken the rail and not just come by and just push the random button for you to send you off in a different direction. So we've got some different stations here already. We've got 12 is the south station. Grok did that one. Howler's Landing is me. So 14. And you do that by changing this here. It's an item frame thing. Like I said, go watch Non-Sanity's video and he'll show you how to do it. Alright, so what you do is you do the selector. You right click on this little cart here. We'll right click. Here we go. Heading on down. And then we're going off to our Howler's Landing right up here. Up and around. And then there we go. Alright. So I think we're going to let that one go off. And I just wanted to point out some stuff so I don't have to point it out later. Just like I've been calling these junctions here. I'm going to take out the waypoints, but I need the waypoints so that I can see where I was digging to when I was like digging all the tunnels and everything for the redstone. So just like Grok's junction up there, we have a detector rail so that when my base is selected, this will pop the other direction. And then you'll glide all the way across, but when you hit the detector rail, it will send it back into the default position. Same thing, if you're coming from the hub, and say I had hit the my base out that way, but I didn't take the rail, if you hit this detector rail, you'll still go up into the right direction. Alright, let's go see if we can catch up with our minecart. Oh wow, it had gone pretty far. There it is. There he is. Alright, let's get back inside and then head on back up. Alright, so that's the demonstration. Now we're going to get into the fun part where we actually look to see how this thing works. And then for that, we're going to be heading out into a creative world. So, 1, 2, 3. And here we are in the creative world where we have lots of redstone going around, and I'm sure it looks complicated, but that's because this is a small area for what we were wanting to do. On the server, it's not going to be so bad because it's going to be a little bit more spread out. I didn't have to have pieces all together and all that stuff. But let's go ahead and get into it. I was kind of mentioning earlier that we are using an RS NOR latch. Now what that means, RS is a set and reset, which means 2 different inputs. And the NOR part means that you have 2 different outputs. So I have one set up over here. This is a pretty basic one right here. It's an easy one to set up. It's just 2 different blocks with opposing redstone torches. And then you see the redstone going around like that. Now really, the latch actually consists of this, or the gate, however you want to say it. But I have these running off so that you can see the outputs. So what that means is that one input will make one output and the other input will make the other output. So because I don't like to run redstone all around this because it's pretty spaced out horizontally. Now it's only taken up, what, 9 blocks, but still I think it's pretty big. This here I like because it's a 1 wide. When you're talking about just the gate itself, this doesn't actually count as the gate. This is part of the input, and this is the input. That's the output, and that's an output right there. So when you input this side, it switches the output. When you do it on this side, it switches the output. Alright, so then that's how that's working. Let me break this block so you can see what I actually have here. It's 3 different blocks here. You got a redstone torch on that side, a redstone torch on that side. The gate actually uses this piece here so that it powers downwards. And then the repeater into this block, which will turn off this redstone. This is powering that. Do we actually need that? I think so. Let's see. Why do I put that there? And then get that back on there. Let's get a grass block so we got this other input. Yeah, this is how it works. There we go. And does it actually switch back and forth without that piece of redstone? It does. So that's magnificent. Alright, so I've got a piece of redstone on the server that's not needed. So when we get there, we'll break it. And because we don't need it. We don't need that. So ignore the piece that was up there. You don't need it. Anyway, so that's a latch. So when we push the buttons here, it's sending an input onto one side, and then it will switch the rail into one direction, And then if you push a different button, it will do another input, which will send. And now we have neither. Maybe that. Oh, it's because I left this here. All right, there we go. And then it switches the other side to the other. It switches the rail to the other direction. Okay, so now let's take a look at it here. When we're talking about grok space, we want it to switch off this way to grok space. So we'll push that. It will send an input this way, which will activate our latch that we have here. Now I'm using the one that I don't like just to kind of like demonstrate a little bit better, because I think that can look a little confusing, even though it's easier to use once you know how it works and everything. Anyways, it sends an input in here, turns off this redstone, which allows this one to light, which sends an output out, but it doesn't actually send an output out. We don't have an output coming out of there. What it's actually doing is it's turning off the signal to this line right here, which turns off this redstone torch. Fly. Well, it turns on the redstone torch because it's not getting a signal, which means that it will manipulate this track right here. Now when it does get a signal, it will turn off the torch, and then the track will move into a different direction. So we send another input, which changes the latch, which changes the output, and then it goes in the other direction here. Now we also have these detector rails going on that will also manipulate the track by sending the signal out here and over to the RS NOR latch once again. Now, like I was saying before, if we are coming from grok space, we want to go up to the landing, right? So when this detector rail gets activated, it will actually activate this line here, which sends an input all the way around into this latch. And like I was saying, it doesn't look so complicated on the server because I have more space. So we'll take a look at it, because we don't have like all of this stuff here, so I don't have to like zigzag and try to like maneuver around and all that kind of things. I'm just kind of showing you what is going on before we go and start pointing out stuff over there. This detector rail, it has the same redstone line going underneath it, so when either one of them is activated, it will activate the latch and send a different output. So the same thing is kind of going on over here. Because we don't need grok space to manipulate this one, we have grok space line ending with this latch and not moving on any further. But we do have these two coming out, and just to point out, they both activate this latch from this one. This one goes underneath to here, and then this one goes underneath to here also, and then this line goes out to the hub latch, and then this one goes out to the hub latch through this way. You can kind of look to see it goes underneath and around and then this way. Like I was saying, it's not that complicated on the server, and we'll look at it. Okay, so then the two inputs are coming around, one from the back over there that we just looked at, and then one from this direction to the hub latch, and then that's what manipulates this one here so that you get different inputs and outputs. The input output here isn't really in two directions, kind of like how we were showing here. It's really more of an on-off sort of deal. Usually we can use a flip-flop, but because we have three different buttons, that's why we are using the latches instead. Alright, and so the same concept, when it has an input output, it's going to manipulate this redstone here so that it turns the torch on and off, which makes this thing select either up or down. Okay, or should I say north or south. The detector rails will send a signal out to this block here, which will, in this case, because we're facing a different direction, it will send it to its not default position and or back again, so we don't have to have it connected to a latch, whereas on the server we do, and we'll point to that. I hope that wasn't too bad. There are lots of videos out there that cover some of these gates and everything. We are going to head back to the server now, and I'll try to explain it. I'll probably do a lot of repeats of what I had talked about here, but at least you can kind of see it without the ground and everything getting your way, and a little bit better understanding if you didn't have one before on the RS latch there. Alright, so here we are. 1, 2, 3. And here we are back on the server. Oh, I came back in a different spot. That's okay. That's what we have the hub here for, right? To go back up to where we came from. So let's go ahead and take that. When we get up there, we're gonna... Oh, I'm always oriented in a different direction. When we get back up there, we're finally gonna take a look at the redstone that we have here on the server. And as promised, it will not be looking as complicated, and it's a little bit more spread out, so I'll be able to explain it where everything is, where all the pieces are, and there we go. Now we're back. So let's go down here. I've got some holes, and I will cover these up. I might put, yeah, I guess I'll probably put a door. Usually I like to cover these things up and then not have a door, because I don't want anybody going down there and like accidentally messing something up or whatever. So, but I guess I'll leave a door so we can get down here and fix it better. Okay, so let's head over to where these lines start, and they start from up here. Now I know that you can use half slabs to stair these things down easier, but in this case I just went ahead and used blocks because I like using regular blocks and not half slabs. Alright, so here are our inputs. Let's go ahead and turn down the mob sounds. We got the howlers howling at Howler's Landing. So let's see here. Sound, hostile mobs, take those all the way down. Well, not all the way down, but almost. Okay. And here we go. So this is the line. If you remember, Grok's button is over here. Grok's button is over here. My button was in the middle. And then this button goes to the hub. So let's go ahead and follow Grok's button down because it was the easiest to set up. Now, as far as the buttons go and everything like that, what we've got is that right above here, there's a space with a piece of redstone above it that powers this block, which sends power through this repeater. The repeater powers this block here, which sends power down to this piece of redstone, which kind of does the same thing back and forth until you get down here a little bit lower so that you can get the redstone power going straight down. Anyway, so then that goes down, powers this one, which powers this block, and then this repeater, and then into this block, which goes down, and stair stepping all the way down is complete. Alright, so then we're just going to run this around here, and it's going to, this comes from the detector rails. No, sorta. Here, it runs around, and then this path goes to our latch. And here's the latch I was talking about. There's that piece of redstone right here that we didn't need, but we have it anyways. I'm not going to take it off because it's working. I don't want to break anything right now. Alright, so here's that latch I was talking about. The 3 different blocks, the torches on the sides, and the repeaters and everything, so you can recognize it from the last cut from the creative world. This is the input here that's going to input and then switch the outputs around. And then this is the input from the other direction. Also, right? Yeah, because then it turns everything on and switches the output. Right, okay. So then the output comes back around from this one. So the outputs and the inputs are sort of connected, sort of as in it looks like it with it using the same redstone line. But because the repeaters are one directional, it doesn't actually go all the way back to the original input. So you don't have to worry about that right now. So when this side is inputted, and let's go ahead and touch it. There we go. So that kind of simulates if you were to get a signal down Grok's line. It will power this torch here, which will actually unpower, and then right above this is the rail that switches back and forth. So the redstone torch is switching it back and forth. Now the detector rail that I was trying to tell you about earlier before I was like, ooh, I better cover some other stuff. There's one right here, right above that, and there's one right here, right above that. And both of these come down, sends a signal down and around, and then sends an input back into the latch, which will switch to the output. Okay. So then that is that for Groks as far as like getting the input into that. Now if we hit the howlers, if we hit my base button or the main hub, which is these 2 inputs, they come down and around in the similar fashion of stair stepping. They come down and you can see they go off to the hub latch, but we're not going to follow that right at the moment. Right now we're going to see how they kind of come around here, and this one comes around this way, and then they head over here, converge, and then send an input into here so that, do I have any redstone on me? I don't. So that they will actually send a different input, which will do a different output, which will go in this direction, which actually doesn't do anything. I keep wanting to say that there are two different outputs, but there's not. Really, on this design, there's one output, and it's either an on and off. And like I said, we could have used the flip-flop, but because there are 3 different destinations, we're using latches instead. So when this input gets put into there, it will turn this to off, which means that this redstone torch will get powered and then turn the rail in a different direction. I hope that was okay. Alright, so that is that junction. Now if we come down here, we can see as they feed along, I believe that this one is the hub line and this is my base line. So let's keep that in mind. And then I just have the different repeaters stair stepping down so we can keep the signal strong enough to go ahead. So let's go on down to the hub junction right around here, and then we will see where it connects to another latch here. Alright, so one input is going into this side, the other input is going into that side. The outputs are, it looks like in this case we actually do have 2 outputs. So when this side is outputting, then it sends a signal down and around this way, which sends it okay, so it's not another output. This is actually an input from the detector rails. Like the other side, I have a detector rail up there and a detector rail up there, which sends an input over to this latch, which turns the output either on and off. So at this moment, it is off. So when we get an input from this line here, it will change the output to an on, which will unpower this torch and then turn the rail up above to a different direction. And then when we get the input from this line, it will turn this redstone back off, and that means that the redstone torch turns on and then turns the rail in the other direction. That doesn't sound as easy as I was hoping it would sound, but I hope that it makes sense. We don't have 2 outputs. We have 1 output, which is actually this line, and it changes this redstone torch on or off. These are inputs that go into here, along with this being an input right here, just like Grok's thing had 2 detector rails for input along with his button for an input. It doesn't seem very conclusive, but that is actually the end of the whole explanation as far as what's on the server. I'm sure I'm gonna get lots of questions about it. I feel it. I feel like I'll have lots of questions. Let's go ahead and hop out over here. I've got to wait out here somewhere. Yeah, here it is. So I'll have to do another door around here somewhere so we can get back down and look at it if we ever need to. Or maybe I'll cover this all up since there's a tunnel that runs underneath, and I'll just have the 1 door over on that side, because it's not like I need a door on each side. But for those of you who don't like the building videos and wanted something more technical, I hope that was technical enough for you. I think that we technicaled it up in this house today with all of this vanilla redstone. This will be a lot easier with mods, but we don't have the mods yet, which is okay because it's been quite a long time since I've done a decent sized redstone project. And I feel good about it. I was like really excited to get into this and do it and have it work and everything. So it's awesome. So let's just go ahead and head on out to our base. Let's get our cart, and then here we go. Alright, so if we go in F5 mode, is it going to switch us around all kinds of weird stuff? Too bad they don't have you like actually sit in the cart instead of on top of the cart. But that is going to be the end of the episode, and I will see you all next time. Bye.